everybody, and welcome to this special episode of Prinsights Global. I am so delighted to have here with me from around the other side of the world, Claudia Merkert from BullionStar, who is, and I will let her tell us more about herself, but who is integrated into the daily buying of gold from BullionStar services. So, Claudia, thank you so much for joining us here at Prinsights Global.
Thank you, Naomi, for having me today. I'm so thrilled to be here.
So before we get into, we're talking a bit off camera about your very interesting background to becoming involved in gold. We have some similarities, which is always cool. So I wonder if you could just maybe tell our listeners and viewers about your trajectory into the center of what's going on with gold today.
Absolutely. So I studied law and commerce accounting at university. And at that time, around 25 years ago, I began to learn about the global financial system. I've always had a natural curiosity about how the world works. And I instinctively felt that there was much more to learn than what was being taught at surface level. So I began a journey to learn about the history of money and the banking system. I learned about fractional banking, fiat currencies, and I studied situations in history like the hyperinflation in Weimar Germany in the 1920s and then in Zimbabwe in 2007. And through that, I came to learn that gold and silver have been the only real money for 6,000 years. And as governments are getting us further and further into debt to essentially get re-elected with little care for the future generations, that real money is the only thing that's going to truly protect our wealth and that of our children. And having spent the earlier part of my career at Ernst & Young and then working at the Reserve Bank of Australia, I realized I wanted to work in areas that I was truly passionate about and could make a genuine difference in real people's lives. And given I was knee-deep in learning about those things during the 2008 global financial crisis, it really only magnified these issues for me and made me realize what a house of cards our global financial system is actually built on. And then once your eyes are opened to all of this, it's really not possible to go back, hence my journey into precious metals. And I truly believe this is what's going to be a big part of what saves people's hard-earned wealth in the years to come as we see the further inevitable decline and potential collapse in the purchasing power of fiat currencies. And I did want to join BullionStar because being a customer myself, I just found them absolute innovators in their market. They're always looking for ways to make precious metals more accessible to everyone. And they're just such an internationally reputable company with some very big names as their clients. So I jumped at the chance when the opportunity came up to work at BullionStar.
Well, I mean, that's all so fascinating. And I think it's so important, that you have all of this experience that comes to bear and these sort of aha moments as to why precious metals really are the concrete mechanisms that are going to drive people's wealth and literally the world forward. And BullionStar does have such a fantastic reputation. And I do want to get into a bit more about BullionStar, but if you could touch on what you're seeing today through BullionStar and given your experience in terms of the growing enthusiasm at all levels of the investor spectrum for gold and where you see that going.
Yeah, absolutely. We're definitely seeing growing interest in gold from the Asian region, and it's actually quite a contrast to what's going on in the West at the moment. The thing to understand is culturally, many Asian countries already have a long-standing appreciation for gold. It's not just viewed as an investment, it's really deeply tied to their idea of generational wealth. So in a lot of these countries, people are more familiar with the role that gold plays in protecting their savings, especially during tough times. And that's largely because many of these regions have experienced things like currency devaluation, political instability, and hyperinflation. So for a lot of families, gold has always been more than a financial asset. It's been their safety net, and it's helped them hold on to wealth and in some cases even start fresh in a new place when they've had to throughout history. So when times are uncertain, it's almost second nature to turn to gold for Asian countries. And right now, with everything happening around the world, geopolitical tensions, inflation concerns, and gold really catching attention, making headlines on the news, and prices hitting all-time highs. We've had a 46% increase in price over the last year, which has been extremely impressive. Naturally, this has just pulled a new wave of buyers in Asia to the front. what's really interesting as a bullion dealer, we're seeing two types of customers increasing. On one end, we have the high net worth individuals, family offices, and institutions. They're steadily accumulating gold. And we're also seeing a lot of first-time local buyers, so Singaporeans using their savings or discretionary income to buy physical gold. That's what we're seeing on the forefront. But in terms of the data, that's also telling us the same story. So the World Gold Council's 2024 report, in that demand for gold and bars and coins has surged in places like Singapore, India, China, Taiwan, South Korea, and Malaysia. And with all of those countries, we've seen a year-on-year increases somewhere between 20 and 26% for gold bars and coins, which is extraordinary. But in the West, in 2024, the report is telling a really different story. So Europe saw a drop in demand for gold bars and coins of nearly 50% in 2024. And in the US, it was 23%. So the contrast really couldn't be clearer between East and West. And if we're just looking at Singapore alone, that World Gold Council report shows that gold demand was 6.5 tons in 2024, which is a 22% increase over the previous year. And at BullionStar alone, our customers contributed to just over 3.6 tons of that 6.5 tons, which means as a business, we accounted for about 55% of the total Singapore market's demand in gold. And we've just seen that momentum increase into 2025. So April was our best month ever in terms of sales. We did 112 million Singapore dollars in sales in April, which is a 215% increase compared to April last year. So what this year's report on the World Gold Council is going to look like is probably could blow us out of the water. And May was our second best month ever as a company. So the data that we're seeing on the ground and on paper is just, there's no question, interest in gold across Asia is rising, and it's continuing to accelerate into 2025.
I mean, those are phenomenal statistics, and you're not speaking merely from external statistics. This is basically more than half of one of the fastest growing national buyers of gold on the planet is going through BullionStar. Do I have that right?
Correct. So the World Gold Council report did show that we've got 55% of the gold market in Singapore. So 6.5 tons demand in Singapore in 2024, and we accounted for 3.6 tons of that, according to that report.
That's just phenomenal. And again, I thank you for sharing that kind of information with our listeners here, because a lot of times, I think when you're not in the eastern part of the world right now, sort of feeling and watching and seeing your family and the businesses around you and the governments around you buying more and more gold, you don't necessarily think it's going to last, perhaps. You know, these prices are near record highs, but if you're not in it, I mean, I see that what you're saying and what's actually happening in the numbers is that no matter what, demand for gold is increasing. It's increasing significantly, and that's going to drive up the price of gold, right?
You would think so. You know, it's that sort of evidence just shows, what's going on in the world, and that's really what we can deduce from it as well. I mean, yeah, we have managed to, keep in stock. We have over 1,400 products, and we have had people come to us, customers come and say that other bullion dealers have sold out of products, and they're coming to us because we, are quite forward thinking, and we make sure that we've always got stock ready for customers, of all of our products so we can. And then there's always products on back order when we know we're sort of running low. So we have great relationships with our suppliers, and we always make sure that we're the kind of bullion dealer that our customers and new customers can come for products. So
what do you think, given all of that information and your role really in this very exciting gold market that we're all living in right now, what do you think the Western investors should know? What do you think they're missing about how they should consider gold as a necessary high growth investment?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think, Eastern countries, as I'd mentioned before, see gold as a form of insurance, not just an investment. And I think this is something in the West that customers sort of see gold maybe more on the paper side of things and see it as a product, that unfortunately often they're going to financial investors who don't really have an interest in recommending physical gold. They're not necessarily making any money from it, to be quite frank. And, Western investors tend to be much more focused on, those type of avenues for investment. Whereas when you've been through war and currency devaluation and hyperinflation, you know that you want to hold on to the physical. The paper is just a promise, and at the end of the day, promises fail, and countries in the East understand that really well. They don't necessarily trust that their governments are always going to do what's in their best interests. And in the West, we have a history of people trusting their governments more, and therefore the idea of holding physical gold, often it can be a question of, where should I put it? Is it safe? There are ways around all of these things, which, as a company, we try to save and so we try to, assist with in terms of storage and safe storage and insurance and things like that. But Western investors, I think, are yet to quite get there, but I think they will come. I think there will come a time where, as Ronnie Stoffele said in Gold We Trust report, there will just be the mass participation phase where, they will just be trying to get their hands on everything they can. And at that point, East investors will have already sort of stockpiled what they were wanting, for the future, and they will have that safety in their hands. And I think physical custody is just really the most important thing with your precious metals, and having the physical and not just a paper promise.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's a shortage of geopolitical risk, inflationary risk, uncertainty around the world. This is not something that the Western investor, even as insurance, I think it has grown on their reputation, as well as, you mentioned innovations that they have to protect clients and to work with them to grow their gold stockpiles. Can you talk a bit more about the specifics of BullionStar for investors who might be looking for that type of protection and innovation?
Yeah, absolutely. So at BullionStar, we see our main role actually as one of being an educator who assists and empowers our customers to make informed decisions. So we have a lot of free resources, including our Gold University on our website, which has an enormous amount of information for someone starting out in precious metals on educating themselves all about gold, because it can often be sometimes a scary area because it's not covered at school, it's not covered in the media. We also have regular blog articles on up-to-date topics, and then we do expert interviews with people such as yourself. And we also have a precious metals analyst, Ronan Manley, on our team. And this really helps our customers then navigate the space confidently and independently. We don't tend to focus so much on portfolio allocations and decisions because we want to cater to really a wide range of customers. And we do have a lot of those. So young professionals, working class professionals, collectors, everyday savers, and not just the high net worth individuals. We want to be accessible to everyone. And that's one of the things that I really like about BullionStar and why I wanted to work there, because that's what I wanted also the message to sort of bring to the world in terms of my work in precious metals. So we feel that each demographic would have their own view of how to approach their portfolio. And so we have different products, which then we try to, are targeting these type of different investors. And so, for example, for a customer that may be younger or may have smaller amounts to invest, we have a program called the Bullion Savings Program, and that allows you to dollar cost average, for example, 1 gram at a time into gold, silver, and platinum as well, and you can then convert these into physical bullion with no fees at a later time. And then we have customers who want to, for example, have more of a short-term strategy, treat their physical gold and have the security of the physical gold, but they want to move in and out of the market more quickly and treat it like a paper product. And we have a product called a no spread bar, in which essentially you just pay the premium and then there's no spread on the other side when you sell it. So that's a fabulous product for someone who wants the surety of that physical and can hold it for a minimum of 7 days and then for as long as they wish. and they can then trade in and out at no spread. So they know that there is no, risk that they're going to pay a large premium on the other end, and then that is stored in our vault. For longer term holders, of which obviously there is a lot of people who want to pass bars or coins down through generations, we might guide them towards, globally recognized brands like PAMP or Metalor or ARG or Heraeus. And then our most popular coins are the Canadian Maples or the UK Britannias. So by having these different types of products, we can therefore, instead of trying to tell people how much of their portfolio they should allocate, we would rather present different types of products to them and allow them then to make that decision. One of the other fantastic ways people can use our products and services is we have an online account platform. So you can log in 24/7, day or night, and buy or sell our products, which means, if you do want to trade it like a paper product and you've decided, it's time to buy some gold bars or silver bars or sell them, you can jump on in the middle of the night and, for example, sell them, and the money will be back in your account within, a few days. And the other thing we're trying to do is really open up our business to maybe young customers as well, and people who haven't really yet found gold and silver, because it can tend to have, a feeling that it's something for older people. So we were the first bullion dealer in the world in 2014 to allow customers to make payments with cryptocurrency. And this means that for our customers who want to avoid fiat and banks, they can do this because they can both pay and withdraw their funds in cryptocurrency. So this is quite an innovation and something that as a business we were wanting to do to obviously make bullion more accessible to people everywhere in the world. And our customers are from over 130 countries. So you asked about the vault storage. So this is also obviously a key component of our business and something that we really enjoy being able to offer from people who only have a few coins or a few bars to high net worth individuals with, many millions of dollars. So our main vault is in Singapore at Le Freeport, which is basically Asia's Fort Knox. It's an incredible facility there. It's like a James Bond style vault near the airport. And then we also have two other options, which obviously give some geopolitical options to our customers, and they are in the US and in New Zealand. So this is a really great option for people who, also may want to be closer to their bullion, for example. And we allow you to go and audit your bullion at the vault. We allow you to view your bullion, and you can withdraw your bullion at any time. And so, we're trying to be accessible to all. You could also come into our store, and that's where we've met and seen a lot of our Singaporean customers. And in fact, in March and April, we sort of had an extraordinary situation where normally our wait times are under 10 minutes to, come and collect your bullion. They were spiking to 2 hours. People were queued out the door and down the street because of the incredibly high demand there was in March and April. And we had so many new customers come at that time, and they just wanted a lot of hand-holding and education. And we even had our CEO and our directors who were all on the front lines assisting to try to serve those customers that were coming in to want to buy bullion. And in light of that, we actually remodeled our bullion center after that. And in one weekend, we expanded from 5 to 9 surface counters to keep up with the demand from customers. So we feel that by understanding each customer's purpose, whether they're seeking long-term or short-term, we can really help them in that way.
I'm so in awe of your operation, Claudia. I'm going to be out in Asia next year. I will be stopping by. Yes, mid next year we will connect. I want to see what you see on the ground.
Yeah, it's exciting.
But thank you so much for joining and for really giving such an international and specifically epicenter of where gold is being bought in the most momentum perspective from one of the premier gold brokers on the planet. I really, really am so glad that you shared that color with us and your perspective and what's really happening on the ground. And for people watching or listening, to get in touch with BullionStar and to look into setting up an account, or just for more information, can you just give us some of
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. So we offer to all new customers free 10 grams of free silver for signing up, because we want people to get started with their precious metals journey. And you can go to BullionStar.com/new account to set up your account, and that is a free thing. You just need your name and email, and then I can help handhold you through your journey of precious metals and purchasing and questions. And I would look forward to doing that to anyone who wants to sign up through that link. And hopefully we can provide that in your show notes as well.
That's fantastic. So everybody, you heard that. Claudia will be there for you, to set you on the next stage of your gold journey. Should you choose to look into BullionStar, their services, and Claudia, you are incredible. And I so appreciate again your time. Thank you so much for coming on to Prinsights. Everybody watching here today, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Prinsights Global.
Thanks so much for having me, Nomi. I appreciate it.
Thank you.